This new filing shows the text message at the heart of the matter, a text to then FBI agent James Baker on September 18, 2016, the night before their meeting at the Bureau. Jim, it's Michael Sussman, reads the text. I have something time-sensitive and sensitive I need to discuss, and I'm coming on my own, not on behalf of a client or company. Sussman texted he just wanted to help the Bureau like any good citizen. Durham then presented notes from the meeting itself, where the agent wrote that Sussman told him he was not doing this for any client. Sussman's case goes to trial on May 16th, and Durham's team hopes to call lawyers from his Clinton-connected law firm as well as Fusion GPS, which played a big role in the so-called Steele dossier that helped spur the FBI probe of the Trump campaign. Reporting in New York, I'm Christina Thompson for Newsmax.
All right. Thank you very much, Christina. Joining us now to talk about all of this is former Trump campaign aide Rick Gates. Thank you for joining us, Rick. Great to have you with us again.
It's great to be with you.
So, smoking gun or not?
Absolutely. When you look at what Durham has put together in terms of a rock-solid case against Sussman, you're going to see more material. He's submitted in a filing, and some of it has been redacted. There are going to be a series of emails that lead to this idea of bringing a perjury charge against Sussman. Sussman can easily come out and say, hey, I didn't do it. But now we are actually seeing the definitive proof that Durham has. And this is very important because it's going to lead to others. You're going to see Jake Sullivan being dragged in. You're going to see Igor Danchenko. Other elements of this is all coming together. This is exactly what we needed Durham to do.
So this puts it in writing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, and you saw the words described there. I mean, this is, when you look at what Sussman did, he represented to the FBI one thing and the DOJ. And then remember, he testified in Congress and he had a completely different testimony. And so that is also going to be something that's going to be submitted into evidence. And I know that Sussman's team is trying to get that kicked out of the court. And they're also getting the Steele dossier, trying to get the Steele dossier removed. When you see these elements, you want transparency. We want to know all the facts. Regardless of what Sussman did, let's get it all out there. I'm very glad Durham is doing that. He's bringing all these missing pieces together.
And one of the pieces, obviously, Sussman. He has not yet brought an overall charge of something being done that wasn't appropriate. He's targeting Sussman right at this minute. But you think more is coming. And where does that end up? Do we end up getting a big conspiracy with Hillary behind it?
Well, look, there are different ways that Durham could go. Obviously, we know that Brennan gave false testimony before Congress. We know Clapper gave false testimony. I think Durham is cooperating with those individuals. I think that, or rather, they are cooperating with him. I think where the trail leads is to the FBI. So the real question is, how high within the FBI can it go up? We know that McCabe was involved. We know Peter Strzok was involved. Where does Durham stop? And more importantly, what I'd like to see is he going to tie this to a bigger charge of conspiracy? There have been, discussions that he would do a very targeted indictment against a few people, but then have a number of unindicted co-conspirators. That might label a lot of people. Maybe he's not going after everybody, but I think his mandate, and you got to remember, his mandate was to find how the Russia collusion narrative started. Who started it? And that's what he's doing right now. But along that way, he has found a number of other elements, including possible wrongdoing by Hillary Clinton, and that he's investigating as well. So do we tie all that back together? I believe we do in the end. You're going to start seeing a paper trail. I was privy to some of it in my time, and there's more. There's more witnesses. Think about the individuals when they start the trial, who's going to be called by the prosecutors. So not only are they getting information from Sussman, but they're also getting emails and texts and others from other individuals that Sussman contacted.
And when you mentioned trial, I was going to ask you another question in terms of cooperation and what you think Brennan and others are sharing. But when you mentioned trial, how do you see that shaping up, and when do you see that happening?
Well, in terms of the overall big trial, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I think what you're going to see is a domino effect. So you're going to see the Sussman trial.
Okay.
In that, there's going to be evidence that comes out that's going to lead to, I believe, further indictments. Those trials will obviously be set up over time, but it's this continuing narrative that Durham is trying to build, that there was a collaboration of several players involved in this. Does it go as high as Hillary Clinton? I personally believe it does, based on the information and evidence I've seen. Durham's got to put that together, and he's got to be able to prove it.
Let me throw a wild card in there. Let's say the Republicans do very well in the midterms, as they expect they will. Will there be investigations starting next January to come in and maybe uncover other information that maybe even Durham doesn't have access to?
Yeah, it's an interesting, great question. So McCarthy has already indicated, as Jim Jordan, if we take over, the Republicans take over the House, that they are absolutely going to start these investigations. I think it's important. Look, going through a special counsel investigation, that's a hard thing to endure. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. However, with that said, the American people deserve the truth. There needs to be complete transparency, regardless of what happened. If Joe Biden's involved, Hunter Biden's involved, get to the bottom of it. Get to, if Hillary Clinton's involved, let's get to all of it, because it's created this era, as we know with the Hunter Biden scandal. It changed the election. It changed the outcome of the election. You could absolutely make that argument now, knowing what we know in terms of a factual pattern. So when we see all this information coming together and we look at what Hillary Clinton has done, and look, we were on the front lines of the campaign. We got early indications that the Clinton campaign was going to do something like this, but we didn't know that it was coordinated. We didn't know that they were actually the ones spurring on the Russian narrative. And now many of those people are now inside our government, and they're making the decisions.
Do you believe that it links to, because you mentioned now President Biden and former President Obama?
Look, Obama, there were elements that he was aware of certain parts of the investigation going on while he was still in office. And with Biden, I think that's going to take time to discover, but I think there is more material there, as we just saw from the emails with respect to the college recommendation letter. Little things like that build to a more substantive narrative. Biden has always said that, hey, I didn't know anything about my son's business. Clearly, that's not accurate.
When you use a term like unindicted co-conspirator, that brings to mind Richard Nixon during Watergate. Are you suggesting Biden could be one of those?
Absolutely, depending on where the evidence goes. But remember, keep in mind, the DOJ is the one that has to make the decision on bringing criminal charges.
Exactly.
That's a bigger question. Is Merrick Garland going to do that?
Is Merrick Garland going to do that? Good question. Rick Gates, thank you very much. You answered our questions and then gave us a question.
Thanks.